Raise your hand if you know somebody who loves bragging about their credit score. I see you. Let me tell you a little secret about your 800 credit score. It gives you zero indication of how wealthy you are. Here's a fun fact. The FICO credit score system was not created until 1989, and it was created as a way for banks to lend you more money. Your credit score doesn't show you how wealthy you are. It doesn't give you an indication of how much money you have. It doesn't show you how rich you're going to be. It shows you how good you are at paying back your debts, and it doesn't always do a good job at that. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Jaspreet, I need a good credit score to buy a car. No, you don't. Buy that car with cash. Now listen to me carefully. I'm not saying your credit score doesn't matter, because if you have a better credit score, you can qualify for a lower mortgage. But what I'm trying to say is you have a lot of people and you have an entire industry out there selling you that this credit score is how you get rich, that you need a better credit score to build wealth. So then you have a lot of people spending recklessly because some random person on the internet says that you need a better credit score to qualify for more debt, that way you can build wealth, when in reality, debt does not equal wealth. And if you really want to build wealth, you have to break out of just understanding this credit score game, because the reality is I want you to build true wealth, not just have a whole bunch of debt. Can you use debt to buy assets to build wealth? Sure, but the people that are bragging about their credit score are not doing that. Wealth killer number 2 is your car payment. Cars are expensive, and to help you feel a little bit more comfortable buying a car that you can't afford with an extremely high car payment, car dealerships have gotten creative. Take a look.
Hey sir, what is your car payment?
Mine is $1,325.
And what kind of vehicle is that?
It's a 22 Ford Raptor.
Okay. You have another payment?
I do, actually. My wife's, hers is $1,000. It's a 22 Ford Expedition.
Perfect. Hey ma'am, what is your car payment?
$1,386.
That was a car dealership where the car sales experts were bragging about their expensive car payments, so you don't have to feel so bad getting an $800 or $1,200 a month car payment. I mean, we're at the point where $1,000 a month for a car payment is pretty much normal, and this trend does not look like it's slowing down anytime soon. Now, we've been covering the story in Market Briefs, which is my free financial newsletter, but there's 3 problems with you financing your car. Number 1, you are buying a depreciating liability. Number 2, it has a limited lifespan. And then number 3, you're paying interest on top of that. Your car is a depreciating liability. It is not an asset, as much as your accountant might want to say that. What that means is if you go out and you buy this new $40,000 car today, as soon as you put the keys in the ignition, that car starts to lose value. After 1 year, that liability, this car, is going to drop down to $32,000, assuming that you take care of your car. After 2 years, it's going to be worth $28,000. After 3 years, it's going to be worth $25,000, and it's going to continue dropping from there. That's not an asset. An asset is something that's going to put money in your pocket, and if this car is losing value year after year after year, it is definitely not an asset. We know that your car is going to lose value. But that's just part number 1. Part number 2 is it has a limited time span. Now, maybe if you go and buy a Toyota, you buy a Honda, it can last you 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, which is nice. But there's a lifespan that your car has. It can't run forever. If you go out and buy a house today, it could last you 100 years. It can last you your entire lifespan, but your car, well, it won't. And that's where you gotta remember, your car is gonna die eventually, which means you're gonna have to buy another car to keep driving. And then number 3, you wanna pay interest on top of that. So that means, number 1, you're gonna buy a car that's losing value, then you're gonna pay interest on top of that, and then you're gonna have to buy another one of these things to continue having a vehicle to get places. That's why it is a losing transaction to finance your car. That's why I would rather you buy a car with cash. That way you can buy a car that you can afford. Now you're gonna say, well, Jaspreet, I don't have $40,000 to go out and buy a brand new car. You're right, but you put down $8,000 to go out and finance this $40,000 car. If you take that $8,000, instead of using it on this car and use it to go out and buy an $8,000 car with cash, yeah, maybe it's not gonna be as nice as this car, but the $8,000 can buy you a used Toyota Corolla, maybe a used Toyota Camry, depending on where you're looking. I get it, it's not as nice, but now you can keep that $800 a month in your pocket. And now you can take the $800 a month and save it. You can use the $800 a month and invest it. You can use the $800 a month and make yourself rich. And then you're also gonna save money on the insurance, because when you drive a nicer car, your insurance is more expensive. And then if you went out and you brought a foreign car, an exotic car, you also gotta pay for the premium gas. It sounds weird to me when somebody goes out and buys a Benz or a Jag or a BMW, and then they start complaining about the price of premium gas. If you're buying a premium car, gas prices should not be your worry. And so if you want to build wealth, you got to drive a car that you can afford. And we live in a culture where it's very normal to drive a car that you can't afford because everybody does it. Everybody tells you that's normal. But if you want to break out of the system, you got to stop spending that money on your car and put that money back in your pocket. And then once you build your wealth, go out and buy the Benz, go out and buy the BMW, buy 2 of them for all I care, because now you can afford it. And as a quick reminder, if you want to stay up to date on what's happening in the financial markets, my team at Briefs Media publishes a free newsletter called Market Briefs every day, where we publish what's happening in the economy, the stock market, the housing market, the crypto market, and the global economy into a fun and witty and easy to read newsletter. It's completely free. We have hundreds of thousands of investors that are reading Market Briefs every morning. So if you want to join, it's free. And I got the link for you to join down in the description below. Wealth killer number 3, buy a house that you can't afford. Everybody says that you need to buy a house that way you can build your wealth and start building generational wealth. Yet most home buyers today have regrets when they go out and buy a home because many people are buying houses that they can't afford. Now, for full transparency, I became a licensed realtor back when I was 20. And the way that you're trained to sell a house as a realtor is you're not selling a house, you're selling a home. And you're not just selling a home, you're selling people the biggest investment of their life. And when I can tell you that you're going out and buying the biggest and best investment of your life, and it's a home for your family, it's a little bit easier to buy a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, a little bit larger. And it's the same thing with the banks that are lending you the money. They're paid on commission. They want you to buy something bigger and nicer and grander because it is a big home. It is a big investment. It is an investment in your future. It's an investment in your family, which makes you feel a little bit more comfortable to spend a little bit outside of what you're comfortable spending. But this is where you got to remember, your house is not going to make you rich. Your house is where you live. Now, can your house make you money? Sure. Can your house lose you money? Absolutely. We remember what happened during the 2008 crash. So when I think about buying a house, for me, a house is a liability. I want to buy a house that I can afford when I can afford it. And if I can't afford it, I want to wait until I can afford to buy that house, because you have a lot of hidden expenses when you have to go out and buy the house, especially when you buy a house that you can afford. Because now when you buy the house, you got to pay for the insurance. When you buy that house, well, now when the roof breaks, you got to pay for it. When the window breaks, you got to pay for it. When the furnace goes down, it's up to you. When you have these issues in your rental, well, it's up to your landlord to fix those costs. Now, this is where I want to make sure you're hearing what I'm saying very clearly, because a lot of people like to misconstrue what I'm saying. But I'm not saying it's bad for you to buy a house. It's actually good to buy a house. I want you to be a homeowner. I just want you to own your home when you can afford it, because there is a problem. There's a major problem when you have people buying houses that they can't afford. In fact, let me read you what George Bush said back around 2003. This administration, the White House, will consistently strive to promote an ownership society in America. We want more people owning their home. It is in our national interest to make more people own their own home. After all, if you own your own home, you have a vital stake in the future of our country. For context, if you don't remember, in the early 2000s, there was a big push for everybody to be a homeowner in America, because everybody talked about how homeownership is the key to building wealth in America, and everybody's going to get rich by owning a home. And so it was very much encouraged for everybody to own a home, even if you can't afford it. Buy a home you can't afford because you're going to get rich anyways. And then that ultimately led to the 2008 housing market collapse, where a lot of people lost a lot, or everything. And so this is where, again, I'm not against you buying a house. I am against you buying a house you can't afford. Buy a house when you can afford it. Don't buy a house when you can't. And when you buy that home, make sure you still have money to invest. Make sure you still have money to save. That way you can continue building your real wealth, because your real wealth is not going to be built through your house. It's going to be built through your investments, through your business, through your real estate rental properties, through your stock market investments. That's where the wealth is built. Your home is where you buy memories. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.